So what we have here is a failure to communicate. Okay. So you're probably wondering why I got this contraption on Tommy's wheels pressing in on his Timken bearing, which I did pack with snot. I didn't want to use the S&S thing, pushing down on it, just because we didn't have the crank apart. I don't know what the torque specs they used on this thing were. I wasn't in it, I didn't build it, and I didn't want to put my true up. So this is just a Jim's tool, this one. So what I did, and the main reason is I got these chocks here, and what they're doing is they line up your wheels. So whenever you're putting a crank together, you use them, and that keeps your wheels totally lined up, these units. And then so instead of pushing down and screwing around, I just use this tool. If you buy one of these, this is a Jim's. These handles are super short. It should be like this. I don't know. So what I did was, just like on the other one, I got Mr. Trusty. Yeah. Good reason to have having the front end tube kicking around. There's more than one good reason. So what we're going to do now, we'll get this baby off. So I also use this for spinning cranks and that when I'm playing with engines. So I got my test bearing. I forgot to show you how I hone it. It doesn't matter. Take a bearing, hone her out, so it just fits over the shaft. And then you got a test bearing, right? Now we got that there. We got the spacer that came in. Now just because these things came in as pre-spaced, do you believe everything you read in the package? Yeah, exactly. So what we're going to do is use the test bearing, and I pressed in the new races already. Now I got to move my jig. That would help. Yes, that would help. Now what do we got here? There we go. Where's its weight and gold? Yeah, if you build yourself a jig, these ones. If you build yourself a jig, like a train stand jig, you can either make these or, find some. But definite must. I mean, when you're doing 220 pounds or 350 pounds or 500 pounds, like S&S cranks, when you buy those things, they're about 500 pounds torque on these. I do street, hot rod street engines. I don't torque that hard. It's just the way I am. And I've never had a crank fly apart on me. One of the other cool things I will mention too is I didn't do it on the silicone bike, silicone engine. But I don't know if I'll get the right angle doing it this way. Yeah, maybe not. Okay. Now because I didn't do this crank, I'm not fucking with it. Forgive me, Lord. Because that gruesome sin, I get it out in Jesus' name. Alright. Even though you use the proper green Loctite, you can peen. The old timers didn't have Loctite, they do their torque and they would peen the threads 1 or 2 times on the end of the crank pin. That would ensure your crank does not fly apart. That's what that would do. I didn't show you that. But now you know. Now that you know, you can't unknow it. Okay, so we got the spacer that came with the bearings. This baby here is packed with snot. We got our case. Like so. And I have my test bearing. Like so. So this way I can just run it like that. Take my supersonic Jim's tool. Right. Land her down. So good bite on the threads. And then, okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some pressure on it. It doesn't have to be too much, just enough to know that your bearing is seated. Alright? And so, just like a wheel spacer, the ID is on the ID here is on the against the spacer, which is against the ID of the other one. So all your pressure's on the ID of your bearing, and these bearings can rock and roll as they please. And I don't know, I'm going to show you about the different classes of bearings when we do that transmission. Now, there's a couple of ways to do this. I guess I can just grab this one here. I believe this is the same tread. The same tread as they see in Quebec. Now, I should learn how to edit and stuff, and then I can make it look like I actually know what I'm doing or something, eh? No, I give these guys music while I'm fooling around. Okay. Now, I don't know if I can use this one. It may not be. Let's find out. Let's get her on the case here. Nice and snug like. I'm just going to go to the end of my tool. This ain't Lego, it's Meccano. Just going to go to the end of my tool here. Alright. This way. I don't want to unwind it. Bring it down. Just so we got, make sure she's snug. Yeah. So we got some pressure on it. Alright. Then what you do is just grab and be nice. Don't be a savage. Can you see that? Let's have a look. Yeah, I verify everything. You know, it's even in a factory. You know, you got your Mondays, you got your Wednesdays, and you got your Fridays. Let's see what we got here. What we have here. I need a little thinner. She is so tight, I wish it was thinner. I have to go over to my arsenal. Aha! Here we go. Alright. Set the gauge up just for you guys. Use guys, as we say, if you're living in Winter Pig. the one that I got here, I think I'm a little tight. And I think this factory clearance, oh no, here we go. Okay. I got my file. And just because it reads the way I would like it to read, seeing I spent all that money on a match set, I'll just take this baby off. And like I say, the proof is always in the pudding. Now I will double check it when I put the other bearing on, for sure. Yeah, of course. Right. But it's you're a lot better off just taking the time to double check stuff, you know. And I feel that, and you see how nice that rolls? I can't go all the way around because, well, you can't. Okay. Just because the Allens that come up through the flywheel to hold it in the jig, sometimes they stick through a little much. Yeah, you see? I don't feel any tight spots. It's the same all the way around. So I know she's rolling. I know I got my foul clearance, and that's all you get. And don't forget, this press side holds your crank in place, because your pinion side just floats. So she's a floater. She's a floater, right? And that's why it's really important to have your pinion bearings not too loose, because she's a floater on the pinion side. What happens is if you get too loose, and then more vibration. And if your wheels are out of true a bit, now you're getting all kinds of more vibration. So, and if your wheels are out of true, and you got that nice, you know, spec, you know, 0005 clearance on the pinion side, then what's going to happen? It's going to bind. Things are going to bind, right? She's not going to want to roll, and somebody's going to give, you know. So that's why it's really, really important. And my test bearing goes. Oh, look, Ethel. Test bearing goes back in the box. That's where it goes. Sorry, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am. Now, again, only a woman bleeds, and she's bleeding green. I'll grab my. Where's my snot? She can't bleed green without snot. What'd you do with my snot? Oh, there it is. Just pack this baby with the snot. If I could learn to edit, I could give some kind of stupid music. And you don't want me singing. I can't sing. I don't even sing in church. When I can get there. Hey, wait for her to bleed out the other end. And that way you know it's packed. The last thing you need to do is score up a bearing on startup. A buddy of mine used to use, lithium. And the problem is, if the crank or the whatever sat for any length of time, that shit would just get hard and solidify. Coming through now. Just roll around a little bit. Okay, my spacer's in. Yeah, don't put it on. Put your spacer. Forget your spacer, because if you do that, oh, no, I'm not saying that I've done it. I'm not saying that I haven't either. But then you got to rip. Then you got to pull this off, and that bearing is now useless, even though it's brand new and never used. Useless. And if you try to do that, if you try to use wrist pin keepers over again, bearings that are pressed on over again, you just set yourself up for failure. And that's it, and that's all. So where's the old Jimmy tool there? Alright. I got my Jimmy tool. And like I say, I am not using the S&S one just for the simple fact. That's what my buddy Aaron used to always say. It's just a simple fact. Simple fact of this and the simple fact of that. Yeah, I think he got multiple jabbed there. He's not around anymore. God bless his soul. You know, he was like my #1 apprentice I ever had in a shop. The guy was great. He was like a sponge, man. So me and my buddies got together to help him build his first big inch. Yeah, what did we end up building? Of course, it was a rigid frame chopper, 4-speed shovel head. Can't remember if we did a hot rod 80. It might have been one of the tricks where I used the earlier pan head rods, which are 20 thou longer than the rods are up to 99. That thing went really nice. It went really, really good. Yeah, he ended up patching up somebody. And good on him. He was a good guy, man. I liked him. And this is why I'm not using the S&S one. It's a little on the aggressive side. And I think this poor girl has had a history of hard times in the past, and I just don't want to add to it. You know, that's nothing like that silicone engine. Like nobody would have rebuilt that. And if you think that's bad, you should have seen Ted's. Oh my God. I took a gallon of metal, I don't know, a gallon pail of metal out of that engine. Destroyed my my parts wash tank. That's what it did. Cost me what, 10 gallons of parts wash? So I'm just going to give it that little crank to seat it. Not too extreme, please. No Duke-a-bar death grips. You see, that's nice and gentle, and I know Tommy's flywheels are safe. Feels good, feels good. Just gonna roll around so that that Lucas there gets around the race. It's all spread out nicely in the two bearings. Sweet. Okay, now we have a nice, for the most part, tight bottom end. We just don't know what happened here. Like you know. And like I say, for some reason, we are on a budget. Like, yeah, most of the engines I gotta work on. It's funny how guys can afford their sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but when it comes to their mechanic, like, oh, I'm just this and that right now. It's like, whatever. When I hear a new line, I'll let you know. I've been around for a while. Anyways. Alright. But my brother there, he's sad. Him and his old lady gone through some tough times. And her health. And you know, I don't know. Anybody watching this that knows how to pray, it'd be nice if you prayed for Tommy's old lady. and ask the Lord for some intercessory prayer. He'll show you what's going on. I trust God. Okay, so that there is the true and the installation with very gentle hands. Yeah, don't be a flying Cossack. You can't just muscle this shit together. So I'm gonna make sure. I believe I did clean the pinion with rag and oil, the pinion race, but I'm gonna make sure. I'm gonna coat that baby up with some 515 Loctite as my sealant, not silicone. And then I'm gonna remember 1, 2, and 3. Those are your 3 beginning studs. All the rest is condiments. And that gives your case alignment proper. And then I will install the pistons and the jugs. I'll make sure the jugs are super clean from the hone. And then we have 1, 2 short blocks ready. I'm going to get junior short block here. I just got to put the jugs and the pistons on. I already spaced the cam and that. I didn't film it, and I didn't use my gauge in that. I just used and remember, that's a new gasket, so I had to allow for 7 thou. So I put the cam in with the spacer, and then I put the cover on, torque to spec. And what I did was I just pushed the cam out, and I used a feeler gauge. In between, I separated the thrust washer and the spacer out in the cam, and then I just ran the feeler gauge in there, and then I pushed it in, I brought it back out, and then I measured, used this feeler gauge against between the actual cam itself and the spacer, just to make sure that I had it seated right the first time. It doesn't hurt to double check, double and triple check. And before I take this last jug off out of my torque plates, I'm just going to double check my size. And what so on Tommy's is what, 1.5 to 2 tight fit and 2 to 2.5 loose fit. I figured, hey, Tommy being a big boy and stuff, and I'll go 2 because he understands proper procedure and break-ins and stuff. I'll make sure he gets a sheet. Mother, nah, I don't trust him. I didn't give him a racing clearance, but I'm going to watch that guy closely because he gets excited. Yeah, he doesn't. Old people. What can you do? You can't live with us and you can't shoot us yet, legally. All right.